Hi, this is Morley, and this is the M-Wire. Happy Saturday, folks. I hope you're having an enjoyable Saturday. I certainly am. But I do have some great news out of Maricopa County. Folks, you're going to want to sit tight for this interview with Sonny Borelli, a Arizona senator, because he has some absolutely fantastic information to divulge here about what's happening, what's going to happen when the report comes out. If you're looking for details that have been missing, this is definitely the video for you. Don't let the headline fool you, folks. This isn't a Georgia update. However, there is a little bit of information in here about Georgia, but that's definitely not going to be the meat of this video. It's going to be about what's been happening in Maricopa County and the steps that are going to be taking place, potentially, in the not too distant future. Without further ado, let's get right into this. As the Arizona audit concludes with double, triple, and quadruple checking the B totals, the Arizona Senate is still waiting for Maricopa County compliance so that they may finally finish the full forensic audit of the Maricopa County Bs and equipment. The image below is straight from the Democratic Party's platform. This inspection is a regular government function, and the people have the right to scrutinize their elections. So right off the bat, that automatically tells you that they're double and triple and quadruple checking, folks. This is just insane, the scrutiny they are putting this under. We must give viewers the confidence that the B was counted and cast by supporting mandatory, strategically meaningful post-E audits and full transparency of all E results and data. To ensure every eligible B is counted, vote by mail viewers must be informed of and provided a meaningful opportunity to fix any problem with their B. A professional and well-trained E workforce is critical to the administration of the E's, and we support ongoing federal and state funding for local E offices. That's their words, folks. That's from the blue people, okay? So bear that in mind. So once again, Jordan Conradson from the Gateway Pundit did an interview with Sonny Borelli, a Arizona senator, and obviously he's someone that's going to be doing something about this once the results come out. So I tend to put a lot of weight on these interviews with these senators because this is about as close to the horse's mouth as you're going to get, in my humble opinion. You may want to disagree, and you're entitled to, but that's just what I think. So there's a lot of concerns about the adjournment, sine die, the Senate not being able to obtain these materials from the county, and the audit not being able to complete, and that's what some people think. Can you reassure us that the Senate will obtain these materials and the audit will be completed? Just in case anyone is wondering what sine die means, sine die is basically Latin for without any future date being designated. Indefinitely, essentially, is what it means. Sure, I mean, it goes right back down to here's the facts and we're not in session when we issued subpoenas back in December. Then we renewed them in January, so those subpoenas are still valid. They're still active. We don't need to be in session. Our legislative authority on investigations do not end at sine die. We open this folder or case for, if you will, or if you want to call it that, back in December. That's when we issued a subpoena through the Senate Judiciary Committee. Once the audit is completed, that information is going to come back to the Senate Judiciary Committee for review and for action. And if action needs to be done, it will be referred to the showing House and Senate E-Integrity Committee that it was established in the budget process orally to start a new type of committee like standing committee or anything like that. Now listen to this, folks. This is some good information right here. Once we get the audit results, the Senate committee will hear it, the Judiciary Committee will hear, and we will make recommendations to go forward on that. And then the special committee will make recommendations. And the reason why it's a joint House and Senate committee hearing, because any kind of decisions that need to be made that is going to be extreme, if you will, is going to have to be vetted through the full body of the House and Senate. So this is fast. It's a great way to fast track anything if in case the governor does not need to call us in for a special session. That committee is what will determine the urgency of having a special session. The governor does not need to call us in to follow through and finish up the audit. We are fully vetted to do the whole thing. We don't need the governor to intervene, to call us in, or anything like that. This is in play whether we're in session or not. The legislature's investigative authority does not stop at sine die, so it's going to continue on to the end, period. So you've got to understand that, folks. They cannot stall this process. The governor cannot stop this even. Ducey is powerless in all this. What has been set in motion cannot and will not be stopped. If they want to try and adjourn, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Stall tactics will not matter. We are on the audit committee's schedule, essentially, for all of this. When can we expect either the county to comply with the subpoenas or the subpoenas to be enforced? That's a good question now. You know we're still pushing on them, but they could keep saying that they're not going to comply no matter what. But there are other tools in the toolbox that we're examining after they're done finishing up. If you've been down there at the Coliseum and watching it, they're going through another, not a hand count, the machine count, counting every bee so that the way you got a hand count, a count of those bees and check them out and check twice. And we're running through the machine process to see if numbers jive and want to make sure that we're accurate. You know, everybody's wanting answers now. Everybody's used to instant potatoes and instant rice. Look, this is something that we can't have any mistakes on. It's got to be 100% accurate. We need accuracy, not speed. On E-night, let's face it, you know the pressure is on for speed to get results in. There's no sense of urgency here for speed. We don't have a deadline date that we need to get this done accurately, and we will have to make sure that our findings are bulletproof because we know it's going to get challenged in court. This is probably going to be the most challenged to audit litigated in probably U.S. history or world history. We got to make sure that we are 100% accurate on the findings that we find, and we will go from there. So, folks, they are being nothing less than neurotic about the details of this audit. And you know what? I fully endorse it. This is what I was talking about going to get a bigger boat. I know it's difficult because we all want to see results, but folks, this is going to be absolutely airtight when they present it. And I totally agree with Borelli. Like, we don't get a second chance at this. We can't let them poke any holes in this whatsoever. If the Secretary of State and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors have complied from the beginning, we would probably be done with the audit now. Yeah, we would have been done with this a long time ago. We wanted to do the audit at the E-Center. We could have been in and out and the machines on examining them. They didn't. They would have never left the premises. We wouldn't have to disconnect anything. They disconnected everything and delivered it to us off-site. We wanted to do the inspection of everything on-site, bring in one pallet at a time and count all the bees under the supervision, of course, and be totally transparent, but county supervisors chose to basically move everything off-site, which I call removing everything from the C scene, if you will, just a metaphor, but they choose to push this off-site and choose to push the bees off-site. They chose to be obstructionist and resistance the whole time, and that is really disgusting and appalling. Well, how do you disagree with that? Not very easily, let me tell you. Based on the responses from other state delegations that came out, do you expect other states to just start popping up audits once Pennsylvania gets started? Pennsylvania and Georgia, they're already starting to make that move because they know something is not right and they have proof of somebody actually admitting they ran bees through numerous times. And you know, a Xerox copy of a bee or a regular bee just going through numerous times, that's F. I mean, they admitted to doing that. So these are the things that have to be investigated. We're Americans, we don't like seeing. But we are fair-minded people. We despise anybody that sees in sports or everything else, and we need to make sure that this is done, and this is the one thing that needs to be maintained, that the purity needs to be brought back, that integrity needs to be brought back. This is how we do it. We're doing things prospectively already. We passed legislation through this year in the session to actually bring out VR confidence, raise VR confidence in the next E, for example, a B that cannot be counterfeited, and we are getting pushed back on that. By the way, the B has 4 counterfeit measures on it. The watermark B, they call it a watermark because it's basically on currency type of paper. There are several countermeasures on that you cannot reproduce, and it's got to come from the original vendor. And then, of course, it gets printed by a certain printer, but you can't count off with the B. You can only count it with the and the QR code and then scan it once it gets counted, just like the same technology for a lottery ticket. But it's amazing. Not one Democrat supported them. They all fought against it. So a matter of fact that the amendment in the budget process to have that put in the budget because it's money tied to it, and the Democrats vetoed no on it, and the committee in the whole, and they call for a roll call vote to strip it from the budget. So once again, obviously the Democrats don't want free E's, and they're okay with counterfeit B's. The proof is in the pudding. The mainstream media is going to cover for them as usual, not tell anybody what's really happening. And that's amazing. By the way, the cost of that B is less than the price of a postage stamp, talking from printing products. So the VR and the B is always going to cost about 25 cents. That's it. And to make sure your B can't be counterfeit, I think is priceless. Yes, it is priceless. I mean, we need to look at these Bs like they're gold bullion. I mean, they're in some ways more valuable than gold itself, folks, if you really get down to the brass tacks of it. Okay, folks, now for the question that everybody wants to know. When can we expect to see a result come out of Arizona, some kind of result? I believe that once they're done finishing the machine count, they're going to give a process report to President Fan, and we'll go from there. If they need any additional items from the county, we'll go from there. I'm not sure. I'm not in that loop right now because we're just waiting for the team to finish up. I keep telling everybody, Cyber Ninjas is the quarterback of all this, so people just think of the analogy of McDonald's. Okay, you've got to be Donald's the store as someone to get French fries and chicken McNuggets and apple pies and go on Big Macs and quarter pounders and milkshakes. Hopefully when it's all said and done, we'll get the Happy Meal. So everybody cross-checking their work, and that's what we want to make sure accuracy is there. Once everything is done with the report and they'll present it to Karen Fan, a preliminary report to President Fan, because we still need the routers. You still need the passwords, and we still need those hardware tokens that they're withholding and they're hiding from us. Because remember, they went on the record that they ran the E, so they ran all the machines. That they ran the Senate committee hearing back on December 14th. They ran the machines. The county employees ran everything. D people did not touch the machines. They were there for tech support. If you ran the E's, how come you don't have the codes, passwords, hardware tokens? Because that activates the machines. See, so once again, we're finding more spin and you know what. Well, folks, I know that was quite an earful and whatnot, but there's a lot of good information in there, you have to admit. I just wanted to bring you this update here because, like I say, spread this video far and wide. People need to know this information. Thank you so much for coming along with me to my video. Please, please, please remember to like, to comment, to share, and of course to subscribe. Thank you so much, and God bless.